Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to Electripreneur Secrets, the Electricians podcast. Joe, do you think I ever say that too fast?
I honestly have gotten the cadence down to such a point where it's now so familiar that I actually get comfort in how you say it.
Okay. I feel like I'm trying to just I find a rhythm and I'm like, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna get through this and I've got it right. But maybe I need a little more pause in there.
When in doubt, tactical pause is always a great thing to have. I
Well,
mean, we
let's
literally teach it in our program, so why not, right?
should we role play it?
Do you mind if I take a shot?
Oh, mixing it up.
Ah,
Please show me how it's done.
all right. Everyone who's listening, this is my first attempt at this, and I wish you all the best.
I'm sorry
We
to
are,
laugh. I'm
yeah.
sorry, I'm laughing just because you came in so fragile. Go ahead, give it to us.
That's the thing. I always prefer softer voice inflections.
Hmm.
The goal is this is who I am, and I always own it, and I love it. We are here to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. I am the co host of the show, Joseph, the sales bot Lucani, and my esteemed partner, who I would never want to do this without, Clay.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate the intro, Joe. Do I try one more time? Is this a battle, an intro battle?
I mean, I'm not going to win if it is, but go for it.
It's our show. We can do whatever we want. I was going to insert the F-bomb. It's not time. There's like a one F word per show, and I don't think that was it.
If we're going to get to it, if someone's going to curse, at least I can explain why. And there's so much value to it. But go for it, man. It's all you.
Maybe we should swear in the intro. Hello, and welcome to fucking Electripreneur Secrets, the Electricians podcast, where you can fucking learn to dial up your service, master sales, and simplify your pricing so you can stop the fucking rat race to the bottom. How's that?
I'm with it. That
That's
sounds
good.
great. Yep.
Okay, we're done dicking around, guys. Thanks for joining us. 5 days a week, as Joe said so eloquently already. We're here to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. So let's quit effing around and go do it. Let's do it.
I'm with it.
Today's part two of how to take action on your schedule, essentially, right? And that first suggestion from us was like 2 weeks. And just as a quick recap, why 2 weeks, Joe?
So 2 weeks is the magic number for so many people, right? I found that the actual drop-off rate from customers that would cancel projects was right at 2 weeks. Like it wasn't a day after, it was like right at that 14-day mark, something would always come up.
Yeah.
And in the sake of our customers' justifications, like not to say that they're sitting there going with a countdown, like, oh, this is it. It's because a lot of times people believe that purchasing the service is the solution, not the actual work you're doing sometimes. In the mind of some customers, they already solved this problem. They wrote you a check, it's done. The problem's in motion. So when something else happens, like life always does, now they've already solved this problem. This is the new problem now. So now if they cancel the panel renovation to take on the water heater that just broke, it's okay in their mind. Now they need hot water today.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for that recap. That's all we're going to go into. And I'll just add this. If somehow you missed yesterday and now you're just here, that's great. If you're live with us, stick around. But if you're just here and you're wondering, well, what's missing? Because yesterday was some freaking fire on how to fill those 2 weeks. In fact, a question came up in one of our groups. Excuse me, my eye is itchy here, but a question came up in one of our groups yesterday about should I go to Google Ads? How much should I spend? And this was someone trying to fill those 2 weeks. And without naming any names or throwing any shit around, I just want to be real with you for a second. Joe, I think I speak for us both when we say that list yesterday was in order of intent, of leads with intent, meaning
Correct.
the highest potential for the lowest cost leads are right at your fingertips already.
You already got them. They're already there.
Yeah, and doing something like Google ads or Facebook ads, that to me is something just a little on the other side of all the organics approach that we can exercise and master first. And there's a few reasons I would like to just throw out there in the universe today, if that's all right.
pitch it. But first, before you do that, I want to give you a little grace
Okay.
because you apologize for your eye. But dude, I'm the one who's literally crying on sessions every now and then. And yet you're going to say you wipe one eye. My eyes are
Yep.
both leaking almost all the time.
You're
You're
right.
good.
I'm not crying yet. I may
Oh,
cry
yeah.
today. I might weep a little. Okay. So here it is. Most electricians put money in the marketing machine not having any idea what the results will be.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that is they're trying new copy, in other words, new words, new creative, in other words, new images, unproven methods, paying for advertising, paying for space out in the interweb,
Mm-hmm.
paying for a
Mm-hmm.
place to put your little billboard. And what you say and what you show is important. And then what happens is if they don't get optimal results, they have an awkward relationship with the marketer who let them do that in the first place. In fact, often encouraged it. And the reason is they're biased because they're trying to run a business too. Their business relies on your income, your revenue, your pledge of trust with that money.
Mm-hmm.
But if they taught you what I'm saying here, you wouldn't spend that money yet. You'd work on your organics and prove those theories first before
Mm-hmm.
ever spending on Google pay-per-click or Facebook ads.
Completely agree.
Here's the exception. You should work on or have a professional help you work on your Google business profile, your GBP
Mm-hmm.
now, formerly GMB, Google My Business. You should understand that stuff and you should optimize it. Why? Because it's one of the avenues that people may choose you from a list and reach out. But that's about the only thing outside of this list that we discussed yesterday and the couple
Mm-hmm.
little things we need to touch on today to finish that, how to fill these couple weeks of work.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, that old dog won't hunt, not in the way that's optimal, predictable, or sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side of the coin, what happens if we first test these ads in an organic fashion? If we first prove, just like us, we haven't spent a red cent on marketing, and yet our group is grown by, well, to a couple thousand.
Mm-hmm.
Our friends grow every day because we take those activities, we continue to put ourselves out there, we continue to insert ourselves in conversations, and we continue to provide value. And we
Mm-hmm.
continue to market ourselves every day just through social media posts, and people put their hands up and take action. Just like the bank concept that we spoke of once upon a time.
I want to touch on one thing that just came up there.
Please do.
And I absolutely love what we're doing as far as the social media, but I feel like the big part of it there was providing value.
Yep.
And that's the thing that I never want to lose sight of. And I'm so grateful that we have the opportunity to do, because it always ties back to the why. It's like, we're doing this because we want to put the spotlight back to electricians. Like, it has been so long that I feel like, I mean, literally just the other day, we heard redheaded stepchild of the trade. It came up. And the thing was, we don't need to be there anymore. So please take the value and run with it. Let us help you, and let's all rise together.
Yeah, for sure. So with that value and with these proven methods, now what happens? Now through your organics, you've already got systems of measurement. You've already got statistics around your ROI per ad. Now, if you were to take that similar copy and that similar, some of your best performing copy and creative, in other words, the language we use, the images we show, and say, hey, this worked organically, and that was my best effort. That's my best return on my time there. Now
Mm-hmm.
put money in the machine and market it. What happens? Now you've actually got a better expectation of ROI. Now you actually have something that's a well-oiled machine that we can actually measure and manage, Joe. That makes sense?
It does.
And that's why this episode and last episode is so important, because everything we said yesterday was about activity. Even if it was scary, there was a whole list of things that we should be doing. And today we're going to add 2 more things to that list.
Can't wait. I'm so pumped.
Steve Bone was watching us yesterday and he commented HOA.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about HOA for filling our schedule, Joe?
I actually have a good amount of experience with this because our company was very, very involved with homeowners associations. And I can talk to you guys about not only how you can use them to get more work, how to position yourself to actually get involved with the clients themselves and the homeowners, and then how to get past the gatekeepers to present directly to the board. So if we want to get into the whole package, you just ask me what the questions are. I'm happy to set them up. Sound cool?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. With this regard, I mean, we can only go so deep, but let's spend a few minutes on it.
Okay,
How
sweet.
would I get involved with a homeowners association?
So a lot of times people think that it's harder to get in because it's some sort of parent group, right? It's like, oh, I don't know who runs it, right? But there's actually an immediate in that almost every one of us don't know about. Why did we want to get into the homeowner association in the first place? More likely than not, we had one client in a condo development or an apartment complex or something, right? We all know there was one person and we said, hey, there's a panel in here that's not right. I would love to learn how to get involved with all the other units here. Well, if they ever had to submit a warranty claim or an insurance claim or a permit request or anything, they would have the information and know exactly who to go to, right?
Yeah.
So all we need to do is if we want to get in with a homeowner association, there's two directions you could take. This is the easiest one. The first is by going to the customer itself and saying, hey, this is Joe at Service Up Electrical. I just wanted to follow up and see how everything's going on the project we did for you last. How's everything holding up? Give them some value. Let them know that we're interested in talking to them and that we're only calling because we want to make sure that they're being taken care of.
Yeah.
Then if they're good, thank you for letting us serve you at the highest level. It was an absolute pleasure. While I have you on the phone, is it okay if I ask you a quick question? Let them know that you need their help. If you don't mind me asking, I really feel like you're the best person who can help us with this situation because we actually would love to get involved in this community and start working with you and your neighbors on a more regular basis. But for the life of me, I cannot figure out who I can get in contact with even to offer our services. I mean, if you were me, what would you do? Who would you call? And I guarantee they're going to have some number and they'll also know who not to call to
Mm,
because everyone knows don't call this super. He's a dick. He's not going to get back to you. Call
great
this person
insight.
at the office and she's going to be great.
That's a great nugget, Joe. Really good
I'm
insight. I love that.
happy to help.
Yeah. And as we know from yesterday, more conversations equals more offers equals more work.
Exactly.
All right. So you get the number, then what?
Mhm. So now that you have the number, the next thing that you'd want to do is have a reason why you'd be calling, right? You can't just call and be like, hey, by the way, I know that, we're thinking it doesn't work because they get that all the time. There's two directions to get in. One is how you can serve them now. Two is how you can take away pain in the future. Those are the two directions that we're going to take. So let's say the low hanging fruit. You notice that there's a bulb out in the parking lot, right? Hey, I just want to let you know, I know we've never worked together in the past. My name is Joe. I'm with Service Electrical. I'm an actual electrician. I've been doing this for X years. I'm in your local area. I know you don't know me. The reason why I'm calling is while I was actually doing work in your community already, we noticed that one of the lights was out in the main parking lot. The reason why I wanted to notify you that is I didn't want you ever to have to be in a situation where there's a liability on your end in case someone ever slips or falls because they can't see at night. And I want to know if we could take care of that for you so you wouldn't have that headache. Would I be wrong to suggest that or offer that?
Absolutely not. I
More
think,
than likely, they're going to be like, go do it. Like, yeah, sure.
yeah,
Go, please.
a
You got
lot
a
of concern
problem?
with that. Let's not have people slipping and falling. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for all of us in the Northeastern climates or in the colder climates where you're like ice is a concern, this was super effective in winter. If you
Mhm.
were ever in a situation where you couldn't find work, what I would love to do is go out at night and just drive through condo developments and see when lights were out.
Yeah.
Because if lights are out by stairs or parking lots or walkways and it's ice, that's a major liability. And you would actually be saving people a lot of inconvenience, hurt, trouble, stress, legal concern. Why wouldn't they want to talk to you? Especially if you're doing the job that their super should have done for them. Because why didn't he catch or she catch this problem? So it shows that you're attentive, it shows that you care, and it shows that you want to serve them. Sound good so far?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And if you've ever actually, if you're currently, approaching work in any strata managed, HOA managed deal, like
Mhm.
it would be an incredible disservice to yourself to fix that one issue. For instance, I can even speak to my dad's place. with my stepmom. They had lights that literally had the wiring, the factory wiring inside those lights had burnt up from the heat of these old freaking bulbs, man. It was
Oh my
crazy.
God.
And I fixed that, and it took me about a year to get to it, which is embarrassing. This is an
Mhm.
embarrassing story for me, by the way. But the point is, that entire complex had the same lights.
Were they all sodium halides or something like that? Like, what was it causing
I
it to
can't
burn
even
out?
recall, honestly. I don't.
No,
I
no
don't even
worries.
know at this point. So, point is, there's an entire complex that needs the same thing. And I know you had an example from an apartment complex where the
Mhm.
lights were dimming.
Yeah. I mean, one of the main things, yeah, where you came in and they were like, well, hey, but that's actually the apartment. It was actually a condo development in an area called Southfields. And one of the main things was whenever you would walk in, they would call you for lights dimming in the living room. It was just a consistent problem. Either they flicker or they would dim. And they would call you for that, thinking it was a bad dimmer switch. But then when we would actually open up the panel, which is for anyone who follows our process, the
Mm-hmm.
very first thing we're going to look at, and there's specific reasons why, we would have the ability now of saying, we saw your panel, we saw what was connected to it, and we found that because when the original builder built this, they were all failing. There were all these old, outdated GE systems that would constantly arc and flicker. So we found out that there was one. We just kept going to every other condo development and letting them know, hey, all these were wired in the same way, and we know why your lights are flickering. And people would give us calls and say, sure, you know why it's flickering? Come on in.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a monster tactic then to get a
Mhm.
ton of work. In
Yeah.
fact, it might even bring us into the next conflict to discuss around scheduling, which is being way past. But is there any other points
Mm.
you wanted to touch on with giving some help on getting into HOA work?
I'd say the only other piece of advice that is tactical without us going super in depth into it is if you've ever worked in the past with that developer before. Like, let's say you have the number of the maintenance person. I mean, we've all done that before, right? Hey, you did one job in the past, you did this, you did that. You can contact that person and just say, hey, I know it's been a while since we've worked together. I just wanted to check and see how everything's going on your end. Things are going good? Great. I really appreciate that. The reason why I was calling was I want to do everything I can to make your job a little bit easier while also helping us out as well as everyone else that you're doing. Would it be okay that if you ever ran into a situation you could use a little help on, that you'd be able to tag us in for? And now, if nothing else, more than likely, the reason why I even pitched this is the super's more likely overwhelmed.
Hmm.
I've never met a super that wasn't. There's almost always someone calling for some BS that he didn't have to deal with, that he didn't build, and he didn't install, but now he's tasked to do it quick, fast, and cheap.
Yeah.
But if you can help him with something, now he can actually put his attention somewhere else. So more often than not, if you're in a pinch and you're really in a bind, you have no customers in development, you can call that person and say, by the way, were there any light posts or anything that needed inspection? Is there anything I can help take off your plate just so that you can have a little more mental equity?
That's
Sometimes they'll give you the work.
that's
You're like,
good.
yeah, actually, I got this going on.
And Kurt's commented, he's in VIP with us on the Facebook Entrepreneur community page. And he's saying
Mm-hmm.
he's getting a ton of work from HOAs. They're a huge part of their work. And
Mm-hmm.
they're literally being attached on all their community emails as the preferred electrician.
That's
So
perfect.
when you get in, I mean, that develops a huge amount of trust.
It really does. It really, really does. Because in addition, what ends up happening is you can also come up with an arrangement with the HOA to be, if you're their preferred person, you can either offer them enhanced, not discounted, enhanced pricing, meaning that you can offer certain promotions and benefits, such as commercial level first class passes, certain effects that would enhance the value rather than slashing the number. And then if they know that you're benefiting them, they will refer you to everyone in their community. And now you are the preferred person. So, Kurt, love it, man. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
I love it too. All right, man. I'm going to shift gears because we got one more place to fill your schedule if you're
Mhm.
not booked out 2 weeks already. And this is a place that a lot of people overlook, or they tend to do it more in a moment of vulnerability. And so I
Mhm.
think it can happen incorrectly, which can cause a lot of damage to your future and the sustainability of your business. So I think it's
Mhm.
really important that we talk about working with other contractors.
Yep. That's a touchy subject, but yeah.
Here's why it can be a benefit.
Mhm.
Working with other contractors, look around you guys. If you're in this group, if you're in any electrician group, if you know any other electricians, and probably you yourself are shorthanded,
Mhm.
you probably do not have the number of electricians that you want or need at this point if you're an electrical contractor.
Mhm.
I know many of our repeat listeners, our super fans, are dealing with this every day, trying to find their next all star. The reality is that we're in an age where there's more entrepreneurs, electricpreneurs than ever before. Now, service is the highest form of distinction. So let's talk about how contractors are messing service up and how someone
Mhm.
who's listening to us and has this distinction about them and their flavor and the way they present and serve their customers and how that could begin to serve another. So
I'm
let's
all
talk
for it,
about
man.
a larger construction firm for a moment.
Mhm.
We've talked about this in the pricing episode before, where larger construction firms tend to base their burdens based on all of their people and all of their work, which fills all of their people calendars 40 to 50 hours a week. And so the rates that they end up using are between 100 and 130 bucks an hour, typically.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes a little under, sometimes a tad over, but never near 200,
Yeah.
never near 300, 400. Or as some of our clients have billed upwards of 500 an hour and filled their schedule beyond 2 weeks.
Mhm.
This works because the service industry, because residential homeowners are not served when big construction firms send someone out. All they do is fix a tripped GFCI. They leave half an hour later. They got a
Like,
bill for half an hour, and the company's billed $90 because of a half hour labor factor, plus a trip fee, a fuel surcharge, a tool charge, and all these extra friction items that customers hate. And
mhm.
they end up complaining about the $120 bill when the reality is a proper service provider would have went in there, provided a well-rounded service, stayed an hour to maybe even an hour and a half, provided 6 full options from the best money could buy to the most bare bones band-aid solution we could provide, and it would not even be close to $130.
Mhm.
But they would have been served at the highest level and not complained, not for a minute. At least 80% of them wouldn't.
I
So
agree with
there's
that.
room for what we teach, there's room for what we do, but construction providers can't do it. And so what do? Well, we don't make money on these calls. Sorry, we can't help you. Or sure, we'll send someone over next week.
Yeah. Are you available in 3 weeks on a Tuesday? I'll be there somewhere between 8 and 8. Is that okay?
Yeah, we'll send our lead apprentice. It's crazy. But without us, without premium service providers, homeowners would be fucked, Joe.
It's the right word.
That's where you can fit in. A lot of bigger providers would actually be relieved to have a number they can call for someone to take on some of these to maintain their goodwill and their ability to help their customers and not have to do it themselves.
Mhm.
There's
Put it in
actually
someone
an
else's court.
opportunity there. And those bigger outfits sometimes have a lot more trust in a market just because, hey, they've been in business for 35 years.
Mhm.
Hey, you've been in business for 50 years. Oh, my friend's daughter works there. Right. So, all these little trust factors. Then there's the other side of this coin. What about all the service providers that literally have no help and they're booking out past 2 weeks? And that's the next part of this that we're going to break into,
Mhm.
right? What about those guys that are overwhelmed? I'm sure if I called for a hand up right here, we'd get some hands up for, are you overwhelmed? Is there too much work? Don't have
God.
enough people? Now, what if someone approached you and said, hey, I've been training under these service loop guys. I've been listening to this podcast. I know a thing or two about service. I think I could really help you in this business. Take any of the extra stuff. We could work together on some of this stuff. Is it the best solution? No, but if you're not filled out 2 weeks, what else are you going to do?
Kick rocks, right?
Sit around and think about it. But these are the kind of calls that, when handled carefully, when handled with intention and thoughtfulness, can fill your 2 weeks, can continually provide days and days and days of work. What if that person, they just want help installing? Okay, fine. I'll back off. I don't need to talk to your customers a bunch. You give me some work. I still have time to sell my own service work. And that might fill your schedule up for those 2 weeks until you get back to a point where you can develop that work. Now, I would not do that. I would not work for a construction company, and I would not do that without trying to build a relationship with that homeowner and run the Good Neighbor program.
Right there.
Just need intention and conversation around what's fair for both parties so that everyone's understood and it's fair. That's it. Now, on the negative side of this, on the bad side of working for contractors, what happens? As we know, and Joe's froze here, guys, so patience with him, but as we know, there's direct to end user relationships, and then there's indirect to end user relationships. Anything indirect means there's a business in the middle, and that business wants to maximize their margins, not yours. Direct to end user is maximizing your own margins, providing your own pricing, providing your own premium service. So anytime we go through a contractor, is there less fruit? Absolutely. Is there less juice to squeeze? Absolutely. But here's a misconception. If you go around with an empty schedule and ask around, especially in Facebook groups and whatnot, people will condemn this. People will condemn you for even thinking about working with a contractor, for the harm it could do to your business, right? For the lack of profit that you could make from these relationships. But I'm telling you from a business standpoint, so long as you know your numbers, so long as you know you can do something profitable or at least break even, you're better off to go to work than to sit around and do nothing. So if you've already exhausted the rest of the list we presented yesterday and the stuff we're talking about today, if you're already through all of that organics and your Google's optimized and you've got some Google guarantee and you've got your Google LSA, if all your organics plus those things are happening and you still don't have a full 2 weeks, then I would go here next. And I would not listen to anyone that condemns it because they're not you and they're not going to run your business for you. You need a 2 week out schedule, 100%. And that's just business fundamentals. Because as we've talked about, plugging Mike McAllowitz again, the bottom of the triangle is sales. Joe, if you don't have sales in your business, how far will you go?
You'd go as far as a person trying to run a race without any oxygen. Sales is oxygen to your business. If you can't breathe, you can't help. You can't help yourself, you can't help your employees, and most importantly, you can't help your customers. You need that revenue in order to continually fund that growth.
Love it. Love it. I'm glad to see you're back. I know you had some technical issues there. I don't
Thank
think
you for
anyone
that.
listening even knew, but if you're watching, they might have seen a little sketchiness there. We're out of time already. We've done 2 episodes now on filling that schedule to 2 weeks. Is there anything else you want to add to that before we shift our mindsets and shift forward towards the next episode, part 3? We're going to deal with what to do when you have over 2 weeks and how to manage this.
I honestly feel like we did a really good job with the homeowners association. And I want everyone to just continue listening to these 2 episodes, because remember, as you go through this, you need that oxygen and you need that relationship. Both are equally essential. More conversations equals more calls, but you need to do it with the proper intention.
All right. Action or all star? What do you want?
I want to take the action.
All right. Go for it.
All right. So the action item that I'm going to suggest is that every single one of us knows what overwhelm feels like. And the first thought is that you want to do your price book, you want to clean the van, you want to do all these different things. Instead, I'm going to ask you, if you truly have nothing going on, I guarantee there's a condo development within 10 miles of your area, 10 miles within your shop, somewhere within you can go there. The bare minimum action is today, go in and type in condo developments near me, apartment complexes near me. Come with a list of 10 different areas within your area. I guarantee they have a number. At the bare minimum action, you at least know who your targets are. And the all-star would then be able to go and get it. But the very least, know who you're trying to talk to, because at least now that you have the name, the number, and the address, you can at least approach as if you're confident, compared to, I've never been here before. I don't know nothing about this space, but would you want to work with me? It's not going to fly. So know who you're trying to sell to.
All right. Action. Love it. All-star action. We're going to tie back to the contractor bit then. So we've got the HOA. We know how to take action on that. Here's the contractor bit. I'm going to speak this to you in a way that you'll experience it. Maybe you've gone on a Facebook page before and posted about your business and who you're looking to help right now. And then maybe you've noticed right after that another contractor comes and flattens you with their same post.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens next is you feel this competitive edge happen. I felt it. In fact, here's the example. I felt it the first time I talked to Joe online. First time I spoke to you, knowing you had expertise in sales beyond mine, I was threatened by you. You were first a competitor before we ever got to creation together.
Correct.
Now I wouldn't have it any other way. So what I want to encourage you guys is to know as an all-star action that you don't fucking know who they are, what they represent, what they bring to the table, or even what's possible. But if you've ever heard this, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, there's actually an underlying reason for it. It's not like you want to be surrounded by enemies. It's because we all have a bias that we're running with, and we all have a competitive streak. And sometimes we learn that our enemies aren't our enemies after all. In competition, that's just a word. It's not a real thing. The only thing you need to be better than is you today. And if you today doesn't have a full schedule for 2 weeks, then you today needs to take action on that. So as this all-star action, recognize that there is no competition. There is only creation. Invite your competitors in and take a humble stance. In this Facebook example I made, if that person then posts behind you and you're like, oh my God, they're bigger than me, they do more stuff, they this, that, and the other, then the approach you should take is reach out to them. That's the action. Reach out to that person and say, hey, I noticed your post. I was posted in there too. I'm also an electrician. Has that been effective for you? I'm actually new to it. I'm just getting started out posting in that group. Are you seeing much results? And by taking that approach, you're not going up with your hairs raised on your neck, like thinking of a dog here. You're not showing your teeth. You're showing vulnerability. You're showing that you're not a threat. And so how are they going to respond, Joe?
I mean, in all honesty, if someone were to come to us and say, hey, is what you're doing effective? I'm really new at this and I could really use a direction. I almost want to be like Papa Bear and just be like, hey, come on in. Like, I got you. I'll help you out.
Yeah.
Because then if you're obviously most of us, we're in this industry because we want to help other people. We didn't get into electrical because we want to get money quick. We got it because we loved seeing a perfectly done install and satisfied customers. So let that charisma and care carry through.
Absolutely. Give it ego bait. For you, I remember the first message you sent. Hey, Clay, love your content. Hey, you got some great stuff going on, fire, whatever, right? And you're like, hope you don't mind. Just a guy. I do some things I think are different, more with sales, and I would love to contribute in any way that I can. And I was like, yeah, Joe, by all means, contribute on any post, contribute with anything. Just promise to give value first and not push sales on my page. You're like, by all means, I don't want to push. And here we are.
It's a beautiful thing.
Point being, you don't know what doors lie ahead, right? Humans are infinitely capable of recognizing what happens when we close the door because we can measure loss. But what we're infinitely incapable of is measuring the opportunities that will come when we open one. So don't just have conversations with prospects, have conversations with competitors. And subscribe to this theory because it'll change your life. There is no competition. There's only creation. Joe, this has been another episode of Electripreneur Secrets, the Electrician Podcast. We're here to help you guys master sales, deliver, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. and I'm clearly out of breath. So we're going to let you guys go. Have a happy Father's Day, by the way, to all the dads out there. If you guys are having a long weekend, please enjoy your family, and don't spend it working. Take some time for you. Health, family, then business. We'll be back Monday. We've got some great shit coming out next week. Pumping up. We interviewed Dan Antonelli yesterday. Kick Charge
I love
Creative.
that guy.
That's going to be an incredible. Oh man, I feel like a student, Joe, coming out of that thing, and I'm pumped to bring that to our fans and our viewers. So, anything else, Joe?
Just wanted to say I love what we're doing, and I don't think I can top that last comment you made. It's literally just fire way of ending the episode.
Cheers. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day.
Take care, all.